Welcome back to Muddy Math, where we take middle school math concepts that are a little muddy and clear them up. Today's day 22, reflect. Before we start on our reflection, which we'll be writing, so to get ready for class today, or the live stream, or the practice, I guess is a better way to call it, a practice, not a class, because it's really driven by yourself. You have to show up, and you have. So give yourself a pat on the back, and I mean it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Physical acts of love to ourselves help us cultivate non-judgment for ourselves, and then that trickles on to others. So again, as I give everyone time to get comfortable, get what you need. You need a pencil to write with, or a keyboard to type on, or a talk-to-text app to record your thoughts, a video camera to videotape your thoughts, whatever you want. But today we're going to reflect. As our activator today, let's look at this onion. I have been loving cooking these past 3 weeks to support my 28-day journey out in nature. I'm also bringing it into my kitchen, and I see this onion here. How are cross sections modeled in the picture of this onion? What is the cross section of an onion? That's right, it's a circle. A cross-section is formed with one slice. Now, if you look at the lower right-hand corner of the picture, you'll see that then I chopped my sliced onion into smaller pieces for my recipe. So these little three-dimensional sections are not cross-sections. A cross-section is a two-dimensional slice, a two-dimensional image or capture of a three-dimensional object. So here we see the concentric circles that are formed by the layers of the onion, and that's a cross-section of the onion, is that circular. Obviously, it's not perfect. And then here, maybe we could play with the idea of fractions. Like, we don't see the complete image, but how many parts is this onion broken into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If I started here, that's a good skill to remember. Where did I start? 13. So check but verify. 13 equal parts. Are they equal? Are those 13ths? Are they not 13ths? Are they close enough? What margin of error are you comfortable with in your life? Anyway, that's about a couple minutes for everyone to get started, to get settled in. Remember, we're reflecting today, so we're going to be writing. I hope this little onion activator helped you realize how you can identify math in your everyday life, and just take a moment to think about something with a mathematical perspective. So with that being said, today we reflect, and here is the blog post related to day 22. Remember, how are we connecting onions to pine cones? They're cross-sections, so everything in the world can be really connected as long as you show up and you let go of any fear and anxieties and get creative and just talk about things regardless of whether you think you're right or wrong, okay? Listen to others. Anyway, we're going to reflect on these questions today. I want you to do the same. It's really important to be a writer because remember, mathematics is a form of communication, so it's very, very important that you take the time to write about math. Now, don't think about writing as the traditional way. You don't have to take a pencil and paper and write. I'm going to be typing. I encourage you to audio record, video record, however you want to write and reflect on these questions. So to save your time, if you're carving out 30 minutes for 28 days of Phi every day, then I'm going to show you how I get set up to write about these questions. I'm in a Google Doc, and it's day 22 reflect, and I might want to add a title to my document, right? So day 22 reflect, and the topic of my whole 28 days to Phi was the pine cone. And you can come up here to the style and change that to the title. And if you make a table of contents later, it will populate a table of contents with that as the title. And then we later can make all of these headings so that if I wanted to turn this reflection into like a formal outline, it'll be easier because I can identify the styles will identify sort of the groupings of headings and text and titles. So let's go ahead and what object did you pick for the 28-day journey to Phi? And look up here in the styles, it is already back to normal text, so that won't populate anymore what I type now as a heading or a category of text. So what object did you pick for the 28-day journey to Phi? So the object that I picked for the 28-day journey to Phi is the pine cone. I believe this pine cone is potentially a white pine because they are common on Cape Cod, or more generally, New England. I got this bit of information from Mr. Jeremy Shea and his recent YouTube podcasts. I would recommend checking out his podcasts. He's a high school teacher in my district, and he's doing some really cool, creative, entertaining things to bring learning home to all of our students. So the Mr. Shea Show, check it out. But continuing on, I just noticed that you all can't perfectly see my text, so let me adjust. There we go. Okay, so I used iNaturalist app to try to identify the object, and it said something, some P name, pine, I'm not sure, I don't recall that completely, I'll have to go back into my notes. What object did you pick for the 28-day journey to Phi? What else could I talk about this? Why did I pick it? I picked the pine cone because it has a spiral effect in its scale formation. I learned a lot through research, like why some pine cones have spikes and hurt to touch while others do not. There seems to be a 2-year lifespan of a pine cone. The spikes act as a defense mechanism. And since the spikes are spread out with the golden ratio, that seems to me to be a bigger layer of defense. Okay, trying to protect your time and your and give you enough to get started about how you can expand these questions and really take them for what you want. You really don't have to worry about being right or wrong. This is just a reflection on your journey and your experience. So did your object model the golden ratio, right? Not all of us knew if it was. We picked something like a tree, and not every tree is going to grow in the golden ratio. Not every galaxy spins in the golden ratio like our Milky Way. We need to investigate, measure, understand what our comfortable margin of error is, and then pursue if we think that that is the golden ratio or not. Oh, quick side note while you're catching up. The reason why I'm only doing a little bit is that I'm going to finish this later and time-lapse it for you again like I did on day 21. Check out that link here with the doodle. So I'm going to really tie back to my doodle, and I will write more while you're not on the clock. I really want to give you at least 15 minutes of your own time to actually write about your journey so far. So I'll return to my doodle from yesterday and use that to inspire more writing. Tomorrow is Be Kind. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our notes that we used today in our reflection and edit to actually create a raft. We're going to, if you've ever done a raft before, you pick your audience, you pick your format, you pick your topic, and what does R stand for? I'll remember. I just had it on the top of my head. But we're going to do a raft tomorrow when we're kind. We're showing kindness to ourselves. Anyway, moving on. Did your object model the golden ratio? Yes. I was able to use mathematics to show that the values formed by consecutive lengths and distances, or more generally, measurements of my pine cone were close to the golden ratio. The value, close to the value, the approximate value of the golden ratio. Okay, and again, like, the beauty of typing is that spell check, my friend spell check. Oh, spell check, I love you. Okay, how can you show that it did or did not using math? Did or did not? This question's a little weird. How can you show that your object, so that your object did or did not model the golden ratio using math? So sorry about that vagueness. I don't know what, vaguity doesn't seem like a word. But how can you show that your object did or did not model the golden ratio using math? I remember most clearly that constructing the spiral approximately on a rectangular grid, more specifically the coordinate plane, which I also know is referred to as the Cartesian plane. And through that, I was able to see the distances between the scales. I was able to find the approximate distances between the centers of the scales using, secant lines, a calculus sort of trigonometry, higher level concept that is totally accessible to you, whether you are in kindergarten or in 12th grade, because you just take a curve, take 2 points on the curve, and draw a line through it. You can do it. You can do it. Secant lines. And so comparing the lengths of the secant lines, I was able to say that, yeah, my pine cone does have a spiral that looks like it's in the golden ratio. Okay, so with these first three questions, you take them for what they're worth. You're talking about the object in nature you chose. So Rebecca chose a shell, Morgan chose a plant, Brody chose a pine cone, Nick chose the Milky Way, and then how are you able to show or not show that it had the golden ratio? And I really, really encourage you to do more experimental things that I didn't do. Your perspective is very valuable. I have an experience that creates my methods of problem solving, and yours should be different. You can share mine, but please share with us in the comments that how you decided if yours was or was not living in the golden ratio. All right, I have 1 more minute. Okay, quickly. So just to give you 15 minutes to get writing on your own, reflect on one historical concept related to the golden ratio. Remember, we talked about Fibonacci, Pythagoras, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. So here, just to get you started, you could do one concept, if that seems like a good fit question for you, and describe it, sort of research information, remember citations. I always kick myself later when I find some cool information, then I can't even use it in my blog post because I forgot to write where I got it from. So copyright laws are real. That's why I can't play my flow music during this stream, and I have to finish this later and speed it up for you so I can listen to my music and mute it out from the video. But take 2 concepts if you need something more and compare and contrast them. And then if you think, well, I'm ready for even more, take 3 concepts, justify grouping 2 together and explaining why the third does not fit. That'd be a cool exercise. Does Fibonacci fit better with Pythagoras or the Great Pyramid of Giza? Or does Pythagoras fit better with the Great Pyramid of Giza or Fibonacci, and why are they paired together and the third one is an outlier? Okay, and then finally, our last question, how does geometry relate to algebra and number sense? So again, take this question where it meets your appropriate edge. This learning process really is designed to be open and empowering you as a learner to learn without needing to rely on the things that frustrate you and to meet your struggle points and use resources and perspectives and learn within your own inner teacher's strengths. Okay. So how does geometry relate to, so again, you could speak specifically about how does geometry relate to algebra. You could do algebra relates to number sense, which is more like arithmetic, I guess. And then number sense relates to geometry. Or you can do all three. I would pick one of these, two of these, or do all three. And you could do a three-way Venn diagram or a three-way T-chart if you want, and sketch that out on another piece of paper or a document. But I'm going to leave you here. I went 2 minutes over, so I'm so proud of you. I bow to you. I hope you can take a second to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your tummy and know to trust your instincts, to be kind and love yourself, and that the more you show self-love and free yourself of judgment of yourself, the more you're able to show love and non-judgment to others. And that's what we need in this world. If we can take care of ourselves first, then we can take care of our families, our communities, and our worlds. But you have to take care of yourself first, because if you don't, no one will. And not no one, but like, you should show up for yourself first, because you matter, you're worth it, your learning experience is in your hands, you show up, you deserve it. I'm here for you. Send me an email, write me a comment, let me know how I can better serve you. I'm so glad that you're here with me on this journey. Day 22, reflect. I'll see you tomorrow for day 23. Be kind. Signing off.